Welcome back to We Can Do It Women. I'm Deborah Morrison, and today we're diving into a topic that affects every woman, yet is rarely discussed openly. Yeah, that's the powerful connection between our money and our mental health. Over 42 years, boots on the ground as a financial advisor, I've learned that financial planning isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. No, it's not. It's about peace of mind, confidence, and the freedom to live without the constant money worries gnawing at your thoughts. And here's what I've observed. Women who have the most financial anxiety often aren't the ones with the least money. They're the ones who feel the most out of control with their finances. And conversely, women with the most financial peace aren't necessarily the wealthiest. They're simply the ones who understand that their money is a tool and they have a plan for how to implement that tool. So today we're going to explore how financial stress impacts our health, why money anxiety often has very little to do with our actual financial situation, and most importantly, how to create financial practices that support your mental wellness. So here's my belief. Taking care of your financial health is taking care of your mental health. So let's dive in a little bit about how financial stress impacts our health, because it does. Let's start with the science behind the money and mental health, because understanding this connection is key and the first step to breaking the cycle. The physical impact of financial stress, is basically rot in our body, right? Our body doesn't distinguish between a charging lion and an overdue credit card bill. Both trigger the stress response system. And the cortisol production increases in leading to inflammation. Like a lot of us are fighting that, right? Weight gain, suppressed immunity. Sleep patterns are disrupted. This affects our memory, our decision making, and our moods. Our blood pressure could rise. Our heart disease risk of a stroke can be increased dramatically with financial anxiety. And our digestive system is compromised. You know all the stuff about gut health. It's real. And it leads to stomach issues and poor nutrient absorption. That's the point. Like some of us are taking supplements. Well, if we aren't assimilating them, not so good. I had a client named Linda who came to me after she had suffered with severe insomnia and anxiety. She had been to multiple doctors, tried various medications, nothing helped. And we sat down and organized her finances. We set out a clear plan and set up automatic systems. Her sleep improved dramatically within 2 weeks. Her doctor was amazed. She was amazed, but I wasn't surprised. Financial uncertainty creates a constant state of hypervigilance that exhausts your nervous system. Yeah. Now let's talk about the mental health connection. Financial stress doesn't just affect our body, it rewires our brain. Yeah, the neuroplasticity is real. Decision fatigue from constantly worrying around money. It depletes our mental energy for other important choices, and there are other important choices. Any shame and embarrassment around money creates isolation and depression. And future anxiety about potential financial problems creates a cycle of worst case scenario thinking. You know how we sometimes default to that. Well, present moment anxiety about current bills creates an inability to enjoy life's pleasures. And that's what I want to focus in on. This is not a dress rehearsal. Now, there's a little gender bias that we want to be attentive to, and that is that women experience financial stress differently than men. And a lot of the stats and the history is on men. We're more likely to worry. And that word is something that I don't really use in my vocabulary, and yet so many women do. So I'm going to say it because it's going to resonate with some of you. Worry about having enough money. We tend to catastrophize financial problems more because you know how that is. It's a slippery slope. We're more prone to feeling guilty about spending any money on ourselves, and we carry the mental load of the whole family's financial worries. So understanding this isn't about judging ourselves. It's about recognizing that our financial anxiety often stems from societal conditioning. Yeah, not actual financial reality. Now let's talk about the psychology of emotional spending. Yeah, the mental health impacts our financial behavior, and it's done so particularly through emotional spending. Why do we shop when we're stressed? Well, retail therapy isn't actually therapy. It's a coping mechanism, is it not? It temporarily relieves negative emotions. Dopamine hits, and we find something new, and it provides momentary pleasure. It gives us a sense of control when other areas of life feel chaotic. And then there's a social connection through shopping with friends or online communities. We often express our identity through purchases that actually reflect who we want to be. And our future focus on buying things for an imagined better future self also play a role. Now, I inherited a client named Margaret who admitted to me that in the 6 months after her husband's death, she spent $15,000 on clothes. She wasn't buying clothes. She was buying hope, distraction, and a sense that life could still be beautiful. I'm not judging it. I'm identifying it because when we bring things to our conscious mind, we can deal. How about the hidden costs of emotional spending? Beyond the immediate financial impact, and there's that, emotional spending actually creates additional problems, guilt and shame about the purchases after the fact. It leads to even more stress. And there's this big, huge circle. Clutter and overwhelm from too many possessions. Debt accumulation that creates more financial anxiety. And avoidance behaviors like not opening the credit card statements when they come. Relationship strain when spending affects family finances. Now let's talk about common emotional spending triggers, right? For women over 60, there's this loneliness or social isolation that we're dealing with. Various health scares start to crop up. Aging anxiety in general, family stress, relationship conflicts, boredom, lack of purpose, grief, or major life transitions. And we compare ourselves with others and their lifestyles. So let's create financial practices that reduce that anxiety, shall we? Here's the good news. There are specific financial practices that can dramatically reduce your money-related anxiety. And one is the power of automation. Yeah. One of the biggest sources of financial anxiety is the mental energy we spend and expend tracking and remembering financial tasks, bill paying, number one. Let's automate this. Never worry about late fees again. Bill payment on automatic payment. Savings transfers. Pay yourself first, automatically, not at the end, first. Investment contributions are dollar cost averaged, like a certain amount each paycheck each month without even thinking about it. And insurance premiums, set it and forget it. One of my clients, Sarah, told me that setting up these automatic transfers was like hiring a financial consultant. And she said a financial consultant that she didn't know she needed, a financial assistant that she didn't know she needed, right? The mental relief she felt was immediate. So how about we do a weekly money date? Schedule 30 minutes, a half hour. I think we can handle that every week to check in with your finances in a calm and intentional way. Probably it's a good idea. Set that up at the same time each, whatever, Wednesdays or Saturdays or Sunday mornings or whatever. And then you're going to review your account balances. You're going to check for any unusual transactions because sometimes somebody can come in and start using your credit card little bit by little bit. It's helpful to arrest that right away. We're going to celebrate our progress toward our goals. Yeah, once you see that systematic saving adding up, boy, you're going to really be happy. And address any concerns while they're small. This kind of monitoring really nips things in the bud if they're negative. And it also gives you fodder when they're positive. So when nipping anything in the bud before it gets out of control, it prevents that anxiety that builds up when you're not looking at your financial matters for weeks or months. How about emergency fund giving us that peace of mind, right? And some people call it their peace of mind fund. Well, nothing reduces financial anxiety like knowing you can handle unexpected expenses. My dear late friend, Dr. Susan Jeffers, said she had a big saying and she had posters all around in her office in her home. And she said, I'll handle it. Whatever it is, I'll handle it. I want us to espouse that mantra. Whatever it is, I'll handle it. And we want to set our finances up so that it really happens that way. So start with $1,000 if that's what you can manage. Build towards 3 to 6 months of your expenses and put that aside. Keep it in a separate, easily accessible account, not invested in the stock market. No, it needs to be ready to be pulled out in an event of an emergency. Think of it as you're buying peace of mind, not just preparing for emergencies. You see how the twist and the positive really affects the motivation to do it? The enough number exercise. A lot of financial anxiety is spent from not knowing what enough looks like, and it's different for every single one of us. So you're going to calculate your actual monthly expenses, then you're going to add a buffer, 20% for comfort and flexibility. And then you're going to identify your enough number for retirement. And that might be different than the number you had while still working, even working half time. So we want to update these numbers. And then you're going to create a plan to reach those goals. And this is going to stop any worrying and anxiety about having more once we reach enough. If we have more, we'll treat ourselves. Mindful money practices are really valuable, and you want to pause before you make a purchase. Ask, am I buying this to solve an emotional need, right? And we got a lot of offers on our smartphones all the time. So I want us to pause. Sometimes I'll put something in my shopping cart and let it sit there overnight. Next morning, I look at it. Not so, urgent, right? I was emotional about it. I get it. No problem. How about gratitude practices? Weekly appreciation for what we already have. And I do it daily, all day, every day. Every day, I'm grateful for a number of things. And this helps set my mood, right? Then it has me targeting the positive instead of coming from a scarcity mindset. We want to align our values with our money, ensure that our spending actually reflects our actual priorities. And this is why I have people do budgets. I don't care what you're spending and on which you're spending, on which categories you're spending. I don't have any care in the world about it. I want you to know. And if it's not aligned with your values, then you're going to be the self-correcting, teacher that comes in, and you're going to affect those changes, and you're going to feel happy with it. Yes, you are. So let's talk about present moment awareness. Notice when the money worries pull us out of our present and maybe a good mood, right? And then we want to cut that off at the pass the next time it creeps up. We might need to seek professional help. There's no shame in that. Sometimes financial anxiety really requires professional support, and knowing when to seek help is critical. The signs that you might benefit from financial therapy: money worries keep you up at night regularly. You don't look at your bank account or bills. You don't open those envelopes. Financial discussions cause panic attacks or severe anxiety. You're using shopping or spending to cope with your emotions. Money arguments are damaging your relationships. You feel paralyzed. You can't make financial decisions. So the types of financial help are really a range, right? Financial therapists, this combines financial planning with psychological support to address money-related emotional issues. That's pretty straightforward. Fee-only financial planners, of which I was one for 22 years. We help create realistic plans that reduce uncertainty and anxiety, and there's no commission involved. It's pure advice for you. Mental health counselors. These people address underlying anxiety, depression, or trauma that manifests as money worry. Because sometimes the money worry is the presenting problem, but we get underneath it and it's like you never really healed from the trauma of earlier years. Or support groups. Connect with others that are facing similar challenges, and particularly financial challenges. So what's the return on investment of mental health investments? Well, I had a client spend $200 per month on therapy for 6 months. And she spent a total of $1,200, and it helped her stop the emotional spending that was costing her $800 a month. And she then made clear financial decisions and improved her portfolio performance. It increased her health because she stress reduced. Yeah. And it improved her relationship and overall life satisfaction. So was that a good investment? Oh, you bet. So sometimes the best financial investment is in our mental health. And finally, let's build financial confidence as self-care, shall we? Let's reframe financial planning as a form of self-care rather than a chore, a must-do. And what are some of these self-care practices? Well, daily we can check the account balances mindfully, like checking in with our health. Every week we can review our spending with curiosity, not judgment. And remind yourself, if you slip up and you make a misstep and you overspend on something, one, you can, if you've bought it from an online retailer, you can generally return it. And I've done that before. And it's a great feeling when I take things back to return them. And two, it gives us a sense of control, if you will. And we say, okay, so in the future, I'm going to put that in my shopping cart and wait overnight. You see, we want to learn from anything that's caused us to trip up in the past. That's the whole point. Quarterly, we might assess our progress towards our goals and we tweak them as they need. Our goals might be tweaked, and that's important for us to update. Every year, we want to dream big, plan for what brings us joy. I don't know if you've ever taken some time to journal, write that stuff down. What gives you joy? What's on your bucket list? What's our why? So let's talk about money mantras for mental health. How about I'm learning to manage money with grace and wisdom? Like that one. My worth is not determined by my net worth. Love that. I make financial decisions from a place of abundance, not fear. I trust myself to handle whatever financial challenges arise. And my financial plan supports my overall well-being. So here's your money and mental health action plan. This week, notice when money worries arise. What triggers a money worry for you? Set up one automatic financial process. So whether it's a bill pay or an automatic savings or investment, one, just start with one. And then schedule your first weekly money date. Yeah, this is kind of fun. Make a game of this and practice one money mantra each day. Now, for your month, complete the enough number exercise. Start or increase your emergency fund and consider whether you benefit from any professional support, the number of support options that I've named above. And implement mindful spending practices. Now let's talk about 3 months. This quarter, evaluate your overall mental and financial health connection because they're interconnected. Yes, they are. And you're going to celebrate progress in both areas. And then you'll adjust your practices based on what's working and let fall to the wayside what's not working without judgment. Remember, your financial health and mental health are deeply and inextricably connected, and taking care of one supports the other. Yes, it does. So we want to be absolutely mindful in terms of how we are being intentional about one, supporting our checking out the self-care box by attending to our financial and mental health, and also diving deeper into how to fund our dreams. We're going to talk about that next Monday without sacrificing our security, because a lot of people came to me and said, really don't know if I can spend that extra money now without sacrificing my lifetime income. And they really were nervous about doing that. But we're going to talk about how to integrate these so you can have some of both. Yeah. And then life is meant to be lived, right? Not just survived, for goodness sake. So subscribe to the channel, join our Facebook community, and share this video with any woman who might need to hear that taking care of her financial health is taking care of her overall health. Until next week, remember, you deserve both financial security and peace of mind. You can have both.